All right, wrestling fans, I am JD. This is the Tape Trader's Guide to 90s Pro Wrestling, Episode 2. This episode was supposed to be me and Bandana talking about FMW Onita versus Hayabusa, 95. But Johnny is making an impact right now in Orlando, Florida, and so we're going to move that to next Sunday. So today I have second-generation superstar, the one, the only L.T Falk. LT, thank you so much for coming by and stopping by to do this. I know you're a little bit under the weather, so we're just going to chit-chat today. So say hi to everyone.
JD, first off, I do appreciate you having me, buddy. And we're going to chit-chat. That's right. Second-generation wrestler here. You talked about the 90s. Being the son of Tony Falk.
boy Tony. So let's kind of just start off, the first thing let's talk about is, being a child, being a kid. When were you first aware of, what your dad did? Like, as far as, really understood that your dad is a wrestler and other people, know who your dad is. Like, when did all that first kind of come about?
Well, check this out, man. Let me rewind a little bit. A buddy of mine, Anthony Wayne, he loves to say this. LT has known professional wrestling since the sperm has met the egg. That's what he says. So a lot of people, they know about my dad, but not too many people know my mother was a worker. 1983, she started training in Tupelo, Mississippi with a guy named Bob Hunter, and then she went over to West Memphis, Arkansas, and trained with Buddy Wayne and Ken Wayne and Ron and Don Bass. So my mom was actually an active professional wrestler from 83 to 96.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, man. Worked a lot for the Jarretts and Lawler back in the day with USWA and Memphis and whatnot. Got to work with Sherry Martel, Luna Fashawn, Jacqueline. Her last match was it was Eddie Marlin and Jerry Jarrett spot show in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And I remember I was actually in the locker room with Downtown Bruno, John Gonzalez, Big Crow, Timmy Thompson, Jeff Jarrett, and I'm just a young kid and looking through the curtain watching my mom. My dad was out there managing her, and she was working Jacqueline, and it was in 96. She took a bad bump, went to break her fall, but fucked up and broke her wrist.
Wow,
broke
really?
Her wrist pretty good, and I guess her and my dad was having a few problems at the time, and next thing you know, 98, parents get divorced, and she just, she's not a big fan of wrestling now, but still, you think.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Both of your parents.
And then, 83 to fucking 96. And then my dad, we're going to have to get him on here with you sometime so he can explain his crazy career, and a lot of ups and downs.
I was promoting you doing this today on my Instagram and everything, and Solomon Grundy, old school lucha wrestler.
Okay.
He commented on one of my posts and just said, hey, because there's a picture of you and your dad together. Okay. And he's like, hey, make sure you say hi to Tony for me. Tell him that Solomon Grundy said hi because, Tony's such a great guy. And everyone loves your dad. Everyone loves Tony Falk. So
many years in the business, different territories. He has one hell of a story. But anyway, my mother, ended up they went over to Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico, working for Carlos. In this apartment, you had Tony Falk, Candy, pregnant with me, and KG Muto, the black ninja.
Yeah.
Nobody thought he was going to grow up and become the big fucking Puro Rasu legend that he is, right?
Yeah.
But he used to rub on my mom's stomach while I was in there, man. And then I think July of 88, Bayamon. Bruiser Brody, the whole incident. My dad was there, man.
Wow.
My father was there, and if anybody knows the stories, the fanaticals, the Puerto Rican fans wasn't too crazy with the Americans. It gets crazy over there, especially with all the hills getting heat. At Carlos is
WWC,
promotion, man. Batteries and rocks being thrown, buckets of piss, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, it wasn't the place for my pregnant mother to go to the shows. So just staying at home by herself, being lonely. My dad out there, is out
doing
there
his thing.
Shows, but I mean, that's how it goes. That's how it is.
Right,
man.
right.
But then after the Brody incident, being stabbed to death, my mom's like, get me the hell off this island, you know? Phil LaFleur, Dan Crawford. They was trying to get my dad to go to Canada to work for Stampede, and plus my pregnant mom, you know, go to Canada, free health care. So I was almost...
Wow.
I could have been born in PR, Puerto Rican, American Puerto Rican, or Canada, but instead, after the Brody thing, give me the hell off this island, she said. So before he got too far along in the pregnancy, they flew back to the States, and my mom had some family in New Albany, Mississippi. So my good friend Mitch Ryder, New Albany, Indiana. I was born in '88, right there in
Mississippi.
Yeah. But then, like a month later, that's where we moved to Dallas, Texas, because my father, you know, had the job with the Von Erichs, world class, and I think I was a month old, maybe you know. Not even a month old when I went to my first wrestling show, and it was right there at the Dallas Sportatorium.
Wow.
World class.
Wow.
Right? And I lived in Dallas, Texas till I was 5. You know, all these stories, man. I wish my damn mom and dad would have done more videos and more pictures.
Right.
You know? I mean, people think I'm crazy, but I'm always taking photos of my kid playing with her. You know, I have a 7-year-old, you know, and it's not Barbie dolls, it's damn wrestling toys, you know. And I'm always taking little, you know, videos and pictures of her with her toys. Or anytime we go to a show, you know, her and some of the talent. It's crazy how some of these big, muscled-up men, these monsters, become little teddy bears when they see my daughter Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to document and keep this stuff, you know. You never know what her future holds.
You know,
she wants to be like mom and dad. But I just wish my mom and my dad would have done more, you know, more photos and whatnot.
Sure.
You know, stories about me and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Picture those moments.
Yeah. Junkyard Dog sitting in his lap, shadow boxing with them. You know, me and Chris Von Erich. You know, I turned 1 in Dallas, Texas, my very first birthday. I do have a few pictures of this. And who was there? Superstar Bill Dundee.
Wow, in Texas.
Bill Dundee was at my very first birthday party. William Moody, you know, Paul Bearer, Percy Pringle, and all his kids, Eric Gambry and his kids. So, you know, friends of my dad's and their children. I mean, it's cool. But, you know, just growing up. And then, like I said, when I was 5, we moved out to Nashville, and little young L.T. Falk lived at the infamous Congress Inn, you know. My dad was in, you know, Memphis, and a lot of the boys, you know. My mom was doing a few shots, you know. She's back in the ring traveling with the USWA promotion. My dad's doing the same, and I got to tag along on a few of those trips as a young kid. Or a guy named Brickhouse Brown had a girlfriend named Ingrid.
First guy to ever train me, Brickhouse Brown, in Madison, Tennessee, at Excalibur Gym.
Okay.
Him and it was his school, and it was him and Chris Michaels.
Damn.
Yeah. I was 15, I think, and when I came in, Brick said, you know, are you 18? And I was like, yeah, you know. He's like, and I'll never forget. He's like, oh, it's no big deal if you're not. He's like, I just need to get your mom to. Or your parents to sign a waiver, you know? I'm like, no, I'm 18. It's everything's cool. Like, don't worry about nothing. It's all fine.
Here's a funny story. So fucking, you know, you're lying about the age. At Excalibur Gym, training with Brickhouse. Same venue, same ring, just a different night of the week. Tony Falk and Gypsy Joe had a training school there.
Oh, really?
And Mark Houchin, Anthony, Staples Malone. He lied about his age. Said he was 18, so I guess you and him probably had the same thing going on.
Who would have known? Me and Mark Anthony.
His Brickhouse's girl used to babysit me at the Congress Inn, and all the, you know, Bart Sawyer and early Sandman and Moondogs and all kinds of guys. But like I said, I was young there, man. But then just
so you guys move here to Nashville when you're 5, and your dad starts working for the USWA at the time that. Still the territory here, and so you start riding with him, you know, occasionally, and you know you're around the business. Your whole life you've been around the business, but now that you're getting to be 5, 6, 7,
getting older and kind of,
and you're going to school. Like, do your friends in school know that your dad is a pro wrestler? Do they know that you're hanging out with Jerry Lawler or Bill Dundee or? Do they know that, or are they? And do you even know that? Like, do you understand that to some people, this is you're a very lucky kid. You know, it's a big deal. Or are you just completely? It's just your life. It's not a big deal, and you don't think anything of it.
Yeah, I mean, at first, when I was younger, a lot of guys, if my dad, came to school for any, programs or picked me up and dropped me off, some of them, especially the teachers, the principal.
Right.
I remember Taylor Stratton Elementary, Mr. Henderson, my principal was a big fan of wrestling, and, that's Tony Falk, Memphis, wrestling, and plenty of times, cutting up with school buddies. You know this guy? Has your dad wrestled him? And even a time or two, man, I remember whenever WWF, come to town, it's just a lot different now than it was back then. But a lot of guys, would invite Tony Falk to come, see some buddies, see some buddies from the past and meet some new guys, and he always brought me with him. So I'm a young punk kid running through the locker room, meeting the guys, getting 8x10s, and even a time or two, some of my best friends at school. I even had like Shawn Michaels or the Undertaker. Can you autograph this to Jeremy? Can you autograph this to Ricky?
You were selling gimmicks.
I would go to school, give them these 8x10s and whatnot, and be over with the whole class. And then I got older, and then I kind of now And everybody's always, LT, tell me stories about the WWF in the 90s. Man, I know I watched it, because hell, I had all the toys, all the rings, the belts, the wrestling buddies, so much, man. Only if I had half of that shit now.
Yeah, I had back then, I know for a fact it's worth money. Yeah.
Or my little one could have it and enjoy it. But man, I can name names and gimmicks, some of the guys I was into. It's just when it comes to angles and stuff, matches. I don't know why, man, but especially for a guy like me that's not big about the gimmicks,
right?
It's just kind of like a blur, man.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
The indies, all these outlaw shows, Del Mann and Terry Rice, anything associated with Lawler and Jarrett's, Memphis, traveling with my dad and Billy Joe. I mean, that was one of my favorites. The Sweet Music Man, Billy Joe Travis.
Yeah.
He was a character, man.
Yeah.
Good performer.
Excellent performer.
Character development, the gimmicks, just a lot of personal, like demons. Man,
I had never, I'm from California and from the West Coast just in general, and I had never heard of Billy Joe Travis until I started tape trading. And until I got USWA tapes, I'd never seen him, and he was just phenomenal. Just one of those guys, so easy to hate, so simplistic, and I'll never forget his tights. The one leg. I think that was almost heelish by itself. Just him coming out with those fucking tights, just like, what the hell are those? That by itself was almost made him a heel. But
style and some of those
flamboyant
colors.
He was just such a personality. He was just so good and when I moved here, getting to see him live at Music City Wrestling, he was everything that I thought he was on TV and more in person. So
I've always said, man, I wish I wish guys, like him, was still around.
Yeah, to teach.
Or maybe if I was a little older, maybe I would have started sooner and could have had a chance to work with him.
Right.
But a lot of memories as a kid, and Billy Joe being nice to a young LT, man.
So, great segue into how old were you when? Kind of explain your process in training, because for someone like me, I went to Brick House school, and then after Bricks, I went to Steve Dahl's school, and I paid my dues and went to class every week and everything like that, and especially with Steve Dahl taking me under my wing when I was basically homeless and living in an apartment without any electricity or running water, and he'd buy me $4 cheeseburgers on our way home from class because I didn't have a car either. He'd come pick me up and drop me off. And he'd buy me 4 double cheeseburgers from McDonald's, and so I wouldn't, because I was training and I was concerned about my body and everything. I would just take all the patties and I'd take all the bread off, and I just and I'd sit in my apartment with a candle and eat them with a candle, and I would just dream about wrestling.
Struggle.
But so that's how I kind of paid my dues. I didn't. What was it like for you as far as your dad is a worker, but I'm sure that doesn't give you free reign of the ring and everything else. But you're probably able to kind of, before you're even being trained, kind of work out with guys, right?
That's it. I mean, I was going to say, it takes a whole village, man, to raise a child. So, it goes back from, being a young kid, traveling with my dad, being in the back seat. I can't help but to hear what my father, Bill Dundee, or my father and Ashley Hudson, or, a lot of trips with Jeff Jarrett. Hell, the entourage, Frank Morrell, Tony Falk, Jeff Jarrett, the little clique they had. So I was always, around, good guys and a lot of stories. This business is built on stories. Right. And at a young age, I knew, as a kid, man, shut my mouth and keep my eyes and my ears open, and just soak this in. And just understanding psychology and, the way, the business format,
right.
And then, seriously, at a young age, man, in 99, so before 99, Excalibur Gym. Hell, when my dad had that training school, I remember I'll hop in the ring and just try to, hit the ropes and take back bumps, Some say I probably had more talent and charisma then than some of the boys. But then, man, it's just crazy how shit changes. Just waking up in the morning is a blessing itself.
Yeah.
Wrestling, I used to just eat, sleep, and dream it. I was all about it. And then, at the age of 10, I was in Cincinnati, Ohio at my grandparents' house, and in the backyard playing baseball, and I hit the ball pretty damn good, and it, went over the backyard into like a little, into the woods, and I go back there to get the ball, and there was a tree that I guess was struck by lightning, and it was crossing over a creek. Now, kids are going to be kids, so instead of just, walking through the creek, maybe getting a little wet, getting the damn baseball, I wanted to climb the tree. Right?
Sure, yeah.
I'm a kid climbing this damn tree, and, they said, I don't remember the incident. Supposedly it was dry rotting, and I was a little chunky kid, I fell off of the tree, 15 feet head first. Landed on a boulder, like a big ass rock, dried out creek. Man, I'm knocked out. Next thing you know, blood's pouring out of my ears. My right ear was damn near ripped off. I busted my head pretty good, and my grandparents called the ambulance. The next thing you know, I'm in Children's Hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio, for like a week and a half in ICU.
Oh wow!
My parents came up there in no time, and once again, I wish there was videos and pictures of this because major head trauma, 15-foot, head first fall. They're stitching my ear back on. Fractured my skull in 3 places. I'm getting, internal stitches dissolved. I'm getting staples on the outside. Brain hemorrhaging's the most important thing. Brain hemorrhaging, man, that shit could be fatal.
Sure, yeah.
Thank God, I'm still here. My jawbone. This is crazy, man. They said it was so many fractures, so many cracks they couldn't count. The doctors wouldn't even let my mom bend down and kiss me.
Oh wow!
Because my jaw was so messed
so
up.
Sensitive.
But no plastic surgery, no plates.
Wow!
All the shit was in line. It was still in place.
Yeah.
And we're just so concerned, like what's gonna happen, and I pulled through. Everything was fine, but the thing my dad was worried about, hell, I'm only 10, but he's like, what about sports? Because I was into basketball too. I'm sorry, I left that out. Like middle school. And,
you're a 10-year-old boy.
Elementary, and then thank God I did do it later on after the incident. Basketball, for, the community and different churches and whatnot. But anyway, they was like, well, man, what about football? What about the wrestling? Wondering and. Some doctors,
like
some are
too fragile.
And that meant just residual headaches. Getting with a neurologist. A lot of testing. I had to do CAT scans and MRIs for a while. So some was thinking in the future. They know how this business could be. With all the shots to the head and the bumps. My mom's thinking, not no, but hell no. LT's not going to be a wrestler. He's not going to follow in his dad's footsteps.
Right.
That's her baby boy. She's overprotective, But then, and at the time, I kind of, like I said, my parents was divorced too. So I was with my dad Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. I didn't get to really do too much on the weekends, the main nights for professional wrestling. And then some of the shit going on with WWE, I guess the Attitude Era, my mom...
Wasn't really letting you watch...
half-naked women, guys chopping out their crotch. So I did take a little break, and wrestling was kind of, behind me. But then next thing you know, I started trying to, get more involved. My dad and a guy named Ronnie Brown and Big Timmy Thompson and Karen Fox, they had that USWO that started up in Springfield, Tennessee. So now, my dad's running it. I mean, which, my dad's wore many hats in the business. Manager, wrestler, matchmaker, referee, booker, promoter, all that. So now here it is, 2000, 2001,
So USWO started 2001?
Yeah. Springfield, Tennessee, the big community center. Once a month, had some good stuff there. Tracy Smothers, Chris Michaels, Ashley Hudson. At time, we'll bring in names. Jerry the King Lawler, Bill Dundee, Dutch Mantel, stuff like that.
And now at this time, WCW is dead, ECW is dead, and TNA is starting in the Nashville area. Do you ever remember if that affected anything? Because a lot of guys moved here. A lot of guys moved here to Nashville. And I know while I was training, because I was training at that time, at that 2002, 2003, that time period. And I know Kid Cashew would work for Burt for next to nothing just on his days off, because he lived here, he was in town, took him 20 minutes to get to the show. And so, he'd come in, sell gimmicks and just work for cheap. Not necessarily working for cheap. That's probably the wrong way to say it. But working for less than he would for an out-of-town booking because he's getting paid by TNA to basically, he lives here. It's everything's local.
I mean, we had the beginning of a USWO, maybe 2000, early 2001.
Okay.
So, so when did TNA start down here?
2002.
Okay. So 2001. I was going to say I started, helping set up the ring. I'll set up the ring and get in and just kind of
run the ropes,
and play, and then selling programs, and then helping out with the concession, and then I started doing the music. So now I'm really talking to the boys and getting cues about music and run-ins. They're really
right. Understanding timing.
That's it. Yeah. But then later down the line, I guess, that's when so many guys started coming down here, like the Kid Cash, and more with Jerry Land, Michael Shane, Wolfie, Slack. I mean, man, there was TNA, man, starting off at the Municipal and then the Fairgrounds, and a lot of those guys, was working with us. But this is still Springfield days.
Okay.
Like I said, so not officially training there, but like I said, I was doing music and helping out, set up the ring and stuff like that, clean up the building and all that. But then we go to Madison. We go to this little gimmick my dad turned into a wrestling arena. Wrestling arena every Friday night. USWO wrestling. We did TV. 110 Harris Street.
Oh, I remember that building.
Yeah. So that's when we started getting the Michael Shanes and more with Chase and Chris and Wolfie and Nicholas, Sin Bodie, Kiz Arnie, Tracy Brooks, Angel Williams.
Yeah, because all of them were living here. They're all living here in town, and they all had those apartments over there by Summit Hospital.
Yeah. So that I want to say that was 2002, 2003, because this is crazy shit, man. I used to just, get in the ring and kind of duplicate what I saw, self-taught. I remember Madison Arena, this dude named Johnny Chris, JR. He supposedly worked for Porter, and different guys used to come, and him and I would hop in the ring, and I'll just beat him up, and top rope hurricanranas and head scissors. And I was a mark for the X division. I was loving the low key Amazing Red, AJ Styles, and all the watching that, and then watching the WWE with the Billy Kidman to Jerry and a little bit of lucha here and there. So I used to try to they call me the king of the arm drag for a fucking reason. But anyway, check this out, man. I was just in there doing my thing before and after the show. I never once did I attend a proper professional wrestling training school, which only if I did, But at this time, I used to just hop in the ring and play around. My father, Tony Falk, had his very first match at the age of 14 in Paducah, Kentucky. That's a state with the commission. But All-Star Wrestling.
Commissions were a lot easier to pay off back then, though.
And we had a guy named Eron Hatchett.
Yes. Oh yeah. I totally remember him.
Memphis,
he was your champion.
They loved him. Little man Jerry Jarrett loved him. He had one hell of a drop kick, and then it's all about choices, decision making. He was involved in a little something, and then I think he was incarcerated for a little time, and then he got out, and my father put him to work. Eron Hatchett, and I guess he'll see me in the ring playing around before the doors open, and he's thinking, "Damn, LT has some talent. Look at him. He needs to start training. Tony, you need to get this boy going. You had your first match at the age of 14. Let LT have his." But anyway, we shot this angle, man, and he turned heel. And got on my dad, and I ran down to the ring. Eron, think about what you're doing. You're a fan favorite. These people love you. I love you. Don't touch my dad. LT, this doesn't concern you. I don't care if you're a man, woman, a child. I'll break your freaking neck. He comes at me with the big right hand. I block it. I'm a kid, man. I'm 13, and I start drilling his ass, shoot him off, a little do-si-do, and he hits me with his finisher. And you're dead. You're dead in the ring. That's my very first thing. I'm man.
Were you nervous? What was it like?
Super, man. I was playing the music at the time. So I was up there playing the music, and knowing, man, I have to get
right.
This is a top angle
with your dad.
Yeah. And all my friends, my family, the same fans, that watched me grow up, and supported us. And now I'm finally getting in the ring, in front of a live crowd, doing a little something. And like I said, all it was, go to make a save and then get a beat down. But it meant a lot to me,
Yeah.
And I did that. And then I think like a week or two later, when Eron Hatchett turned, into Norway Havoc, turned heel and started this group, the Hero Killers, with some of these local guys like Tim Renesto, which is a wrestling veteran.
Yes, whose father was also a promoter and a worker.
So having him there with his guidance and his input, not just for me, but for the whole show, locker room etiquette, helping everybody out, and then guys like Devon Day that's no longer with us. I mean, there's some good guys in this little heel faction. And then he's trying to like take over the USWO, trying to get promoter Tony Falk to do a transfer of ownership. But my dad, this is his company, this is our family, he's not going along with it. So then next thing you know, they beat my dad down. They tie him up into the ropes. They come up to the music stand and they grab me. They pull me down, throw my ass in the ring. They start getting on me, and I think they like set up a few chairs, a few folding chairs are set up, and they pick me up for like a power bomb position. Tony signed the contract for this match,
because they've got a hold of you. Yeah.
Sign this, it wasn't a transfer of ownership. They wanted a match, Tony Falk versus Eron Hatchett. The winner of the match gets full ownership of the company. And I think the match was like, supposed to take place on a bigger show that was, a few weeks, ahead. So I just remember this, man. They're holding me up in the power bomb position. Sign the match, Tony. Sign the match. If not, LT's gonna get it. He can't watch his son get, power bomb through these chairs. So he gives the guys what they want. They put me down. Security's taking me to the back, and this is a shoot, man. This is how it went. True story. Some might, say, oh, that's bullshit. How could, you do such a thing? That's unprofessional. That's not right. And then others are saying, man, this kid had it fucking easy, man.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story to tell.
Yeah,
But
sure.
Security is taking me to the back. And I hear Norway on the mic cutting a promo about all the stuff he's going to do to Tony Falk and how he's going to take this company over. But in the meantime, next Friday night, I want that punk kid LT Falk in a match. And I'm looking up, at the security guard. I'm looking up at our booker, Timmy Thompson Troll, and I'm like, is he ribbing me? What did he just say? They're like, yeah, LT, you're going to... I've never attended a legit training school, I mean, I've listened and watched, and I guess my dad and Timmy and Norrie felt a lot. Seeing me in the ring, selling, registering facial expressions, body language, my physicality, and doing the, execution of the maneuvers. Maybe they just trusted me and thought that I could do this,
Right, yeah.
And then, I swear, that Friday it was in 2003, August the 29th, 2003. A 13-year-old LT Falk, You know, had his first
match in Nashville, Tennessee.
Arena, you know, and 13, man. All my damn school buddies, man. We had a packed house that night. You know, all my school buddies. You know, everybody came out to watch it, and I kind of, you know, just incredible. LT credible. I had blue jean shorts, you know. A cut-off shirt. But I had trace knee pads and some, you know, some white, you know, B&A boots, you know. I go out there and have my very first match, you know, in 2003 with Nori Havoc, and it was...
And he take care of you?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, it was good for the most part for a first match. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys have their first match, and not to brag or put myself over, but seeing what I, you know, now when I go back and watch, and then listening to my peers, you know, that watched it and they told me what they thought, you know, I mean, it wasn't bad for a first match, man. Wasn't bad at all. Did a DQ finish, heels come out, babies make a say. I mean, next thing you know, the fall, you know, and then after the deal with my dad and Norway, when the babyface went over, USWO remains, you know, we still keep the angle going with the Falk family and the Hero Killers. My second match was a tag match. Tim Renesto and Nori Havoc versus father and son, LT and Tony Falk. You know? Wow. You know, and then, I mean, that was pretty good, but I think maybe there was a thing or two I fucked up on. You know, timing and whatnot. But then I'm like, well, if we're going to do this, we have to do it right. We had a guy from Kentucky, his name was John Caesar, one of the Heartbreakers.
Oh, yes, I remember that team. Yeah. Him and Larry Valentine.
So John had a training school, you know, and I started, and he had a great physique, good body, knew a lot about the business. He used to, I think he was a little financially fit, so he had money, you know, he used to go to all those Heartland seminars, Les Thatcher, Harley Race, Ricky Steamboat, and learn a lot of good stuff, and then come back and teach it to me. So, hell yeah.
So where was this out of?
Madison.
This was out of Madison, okay.
He did every Sunday, I think it was like 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, training school. And, you know, I had a good class, you know, good guys there. And I'm training, man. I'm watching more and more tapes. I'm learning. I wanted to be a student of this business. I wanted, because my dad's always said, you know, different folks, different strokes, different styles, different speeds, you know. Yeah, I love this X Division high flying shit, but he wants me to learn how to work.
Everything,
you know? You gotta learn how to, you know, gotta crawl before you can walk, right? Elementary before high school, building blocks, foundation. And John helped me out a lot. And then guys like Bill Dundee will come in and do seminars. You know, Tracy Smothers will come in, and then I even got to go on the road a few times with Tracy, you know, and be his bump monkey for the seminars. You know? So I'm, you know, I'm helping teach in a way.
14-year-old kid.
But I'm learning a lot. And then,
so at this time, kind of, you know, what wrestling were you watching during this time period where you're now training? You're officially training. You're in class and you're learning. And so what are you gravitating towards? What are things that are interesting to you the most at this time period?
I said, so one, I was back on the whole Raw and SmackDown, back on the WWE kick, watching a lot of that. And then the TNA, of course. My dad also worked with TNA behind the scenes, him and Bill Behrens on the headsets, the gorilla position. So hell, man, I used to get out of school, and my dad would pick me up, and I would get to the good old Tennessee Fairgrounds hours and hours before the doors opened, you know. And I'm so glad, you know, TNA will allow the young punk kids to come in and sit there and watch, you know, and talking to all the guys, Raven, Scott Levy, Kid Cash, Jerry Lynn, Conan, and so many guys I got to rub elbows with and talk.
They're there all day.
And then some of them, oh man, LT, you're going to make a fine young wrestler, do this, do that. And then there was a few guys kind of along the way, oh man, you're too young, or the sooner, you know, you get in, the sooner you're going to get out. You're going to, it's just going to, you know, it takes a toll on the body and the brain, you know, you're going to get burnt, you know. But I'm glad I got to, you know, talk to a lot of guys and see a lot of stuff, you know. But Kid Cash, hell, check this out. So not only was I doing the weekly thing with John, man, we had a few training schools out of that building. Tony Falk was making that money. You know? He's a businessman, you know. So this guy with his, I mean, if they all came together and did one big school, that would be great.
Right. But everyone had a different day.
I was doing the John Caesar thing with him on Sundays, and then I think it was a Monday night. Monday or Tuesday. Kid Cash, you know, started doing a training school. Well, my dad's building, my dad's ring, Cash's school, you better believe I'm going to be in it.
Right.
And being that, you know, he was one of those guys, you know, in that TNA X division that I loved so much. I was marking out for.
Dude, me
you better
too.
believe, dude, I was there. And when it comes to when it comes to registering
Yeah.
and selling and more of the high-flying maneuvers, the arm drags, the drop kicks, and all the, stuff, man, cash really helped me out, man. Really helped me out. I was blessed,
Uh-huh.
There was a few times. Growing up as a kid, my favorite was Bret the Hitman Hart. Like when I did watch, WWF, WWE, I loved the damn Hitman.
Yeah.
And then one time when WWF came, I remember we was in the back. The one 8x10 that's not autographed to LT or to Anthony is my 8x10 from Bret Hart, and that's because my dad and Jeff Jarrett and Tom Pritchard was sitting there talking, and I'm there facing them, and I guess Bret Hart saw me going around getting free merch and 8x10s from all the boys, so he took it upon himself to go to the back and take a picture out of his bag and stay cool, Bret the Hitman Hart. So as I'm looking at my dad and Jeff, somebody walks behind me, reaches over me, and lays a damn picture, autographed photo in my hand, and I looked up and it's Bret Hart, Oh man, that was awesome. I never did get a pair of them damn glasses from him, but I got the 8x10, and man, my dad, he respected that, so much, and they hit it off pretty good, my dad and Bret, and I've seen them a few times. And,
since then.
Yeah.
But
Bret being one of my favorites, there was his nephew, Teddy Hart.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Teddy Hart, man, what a loose cannon.
Yeah.
I started hearing the stories about his attitude and his promos and his decision making. But when it comes to, in-ring ability, the brother's badass,
Yeah,
wow,
incredible. Yeah.
And he was coming down doing those Wednesday night pay-per-views.
Yeah, I remember that.
Staying with a few buddies, doing some, some local shows.
Him and Punk got in a fight at the fairgrounds.
Yeah. My dad was there. I missed it, but my dad was there, But anyway, he'll do the Wednesday night pay-per-views, chill, do some indies around Middle Tennessee, and then come in on Sundays too during the John Caesar stuff, or maybe after that, and do a little training school, little seminars. And this lasted for a good month or two. So I was in the ring with Teddy Hart,
Yeah. Kid Cash, Teddy Hart.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like I
Raven.
said, a village,
village,
Yeah. So man.
So
and you never stop learning. In my book, no matter who the fuck you are, no matter what you do, where you've been, the way this business evolves and all these different variations of maneuvers and even terminology. You go here, this move is called this. You go here, this move is called what?
Yeah.
But a lot of different guys, man. A lot of good guys. I've had the privilege, to
Jerry
work
Lynn
with and to learn from.
Yeah.
That's it,
yeah.
man. Especially, like I said, you never stop learning,
So were there any, while you were training in any of the different, the multiple training classes, who were some of the people that you trained with, as far as other students, like that were training with you side by side?
One, we had this girl named Kathy Owens.
Kathy,
She's still around. A guy named Danny Copus, Tiny Bear, and then we had quite a few others.
I know, because that was that time, like the Stephen Green.
No.
Slick J.
No, that was later, man. That's like 2008, 2004, 2005.
Okay, so this was later.
Hold on. Okay, so check it out. So 2003, 2004, 2005. Was when. Yeah, 2003, 2004, Madison Arena. With the a few months, the seminars with Teddy Hart. The Monday and Tuesday thing with Cash, and then
John Caesar,
Dan Morrow, Booty Call. He even had something. Him and Slacker J, a Puerto Rican dude named Ismail. Man, we had a lot of special guests coming in for these training classes. But then we had like a few different guys in there doing their own school, and I got to attend everything. Because I lived only like 2 streets over. I used to walk. To the, just actually not, I used to just cut through my buddy's yard, then get there. So I walk up the street, turn and walk down the street when I could just hop a fence and cut through somebody's yard and get to my dad's building,
Yeah.
So, I was there on everything. But, and then a lot of different guys, Josh Tro, Jason. Some of them are still around, but then a lot of others that just kind of dropped off.
Right.
But then next thing you know, my dad was paying that weekly rent on the building. Never missed a payment. He paid every time, and I guess the landlord or the guy that had the building, he was not paying on the building. He was pocketing the money. Next thing you know, they're foreclosing this damn Madison Arena.
Wow.
So all this money my dad's paying, the guy guy's not paying the bills, he's pocketing the money.
Right.
He's a character, and you meet a lot of those.
In
not
this
just in this
business.
business, but in everyday life.
Right.
And he got one over on Tony Falk. So just like that, they're foreclosing the building. My dad packed his shit and had to get out. But I mean, in no time. That's when Stadium In and Burt Prentice, USA Championship Wrestling, their relationship was coming to an end.
Uh-huh.
And never once did we try to go in there and get that build. And Build It Shields came to us,
Uh-huh.
But my dad said, "Well, give us some time, I mean, just do things
just in case,
professional. Yeah. If it's not meant to be with Burt Prentice and his promotion, it is what it is. Let it cool down, give us some time, and then Stadium In could be our new home, and there it is.
Uh-huh.
Mid 2004.
Uh-huh. So USWO started in late 2000, early 2001. In
we even had a
Springfield,
show.
Tennessee.
I found a poster the other day. I was going through some stuff. It was a Tuesday night, September the 11th. 2001. 9/11,
Oh, wow.
9/11.
Wow.
So that morning, all that, the world changed.
Wow, I wonder.
All that stuff happened, and then my dad had a show that night in Springfield, but we canceled it.
Right.
Still went to the building. I mean, you try to get in touch with all the boys to let them know, hey man, a lot's going on today. We're gonna call this show. Call it off.
Yeah.
And then some guys, I guess they didn't get the memo or the message,
show
and they
up.
still made the damn trip. But a lot of fans, we just had to turn them away. Because going, like I said,
Right.
history, man.
So you guys started in Springfield, then you moved to Madison, and now you're moving to downtown Nashville, right across the street from LP Field, right across the street from the Tennessee Titans, at the world famous, famous Stadium Inn.
Because before us, Burt Prentice, his promotion, and then Mike Porter, and then back to Burt Prentice. So there's already, this hotel. This
Were you working
venue
for Mike Porter at the time?
But I did Columbia. I never did Stadium In for Mike Porter, but I was doing some Columbia shots,
Because he was. Correct me if I'm wrong. He had an X Division title, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah. So at the time, I think he was doing like a weeknight, like a Tuesday or a Thursday at the Tennessee Fairgrounds, and I was there, man, and it had some good guys. But before that, man, I was doing, trying to be loyal to my dad, Every Friday night I was working for USWO, and Saturday I was going to Lafayette and Gallatin, SWA, a promoter named Tim Scruggs, and man, I learned a lot there, man. Worked there for like 2 years, never got paid a dime, but what a stepping stone it was,
Right, the experience,
promotion. I go there, I work, I learn, I practice, I work the crowd, I mean, because doing stuff in training is one thing, but doing it at a show in front of a live crowd,
Sure,
So man, I'm so blessed for the time I had with SWA, and that was a stepping stone for me to go there, work on my craft, so I could go to bigger platforms.
Right.
And I was lucky enough to go on the road and travel, and I was doing some stuff. Hell, looking at my books, man. 16, 17, at the age of 18, I was doing 4, 5, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, that is crazy. Man.
I think
living out of a damn city.
very first time that I met you, you were, I believe, 16, and we met in Tower Records in the Opry Mills Mall, and I'll never forget. I'm looking at the wrestling DVDs, just over there, just looking through them, and this young kid walks up to me with a baseball hat turned around backwards, and he's like, "Hey man, you like wrestling?" And I was like, yeah, why is this kid asking me why is this guy coming up to me asking me if I like wrestling? And then you started promoing, telling me about the USWO, telling me about, every Friday night and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, this dude is selling the shit out of this thing, and
ain't nothing wrong with that,
And you're like, you told me that you're working in Illinois at the time. And I mean, you started just talking to me, man. It's like me and you were best friends for years.
L.T Falk loves to talk, selling myself, selling the product.
Every time I see Josephus, he always says, man, I don't know what I would do if I had both you and LT at the same place at the same time. He's like, nobody would ever say anything ever. And
then the thing is, man, even as a kid, man, speech therapy. I couldn't talk to save my life as a kid, man. I had so much, like chronic ear infections and the PE tubes, the surgeries.
Yeah.
I had like 7 pairs of tubes throughout my childhood. So it's all something to do with all the all that connected. Hearing stuff, messing with your speech. So I couldn't talk, man. Speech therapy throughout my life, and then getting to the point wanting to talk so proper so people can understand what I'm saying. And trying not to talk too fast, trying to make sure I hit all the syllables, and then wrestling's all about talking, and nobody wants just a plain, boring, fucking Eeyore, Winnie the Pooh talk. No, you gotta have charisma.
Sure,
enthusiastic, So, I'm stuck in promo mode. 24/7. I'm always playing with my voice up and down, facial expressions. Even if I look stupid in front of some people, at least hey, he's a character, man. But I remember, they was going out of business. I don't know if you remember that. So we was fucking stocking up on DVDs and CDs, But then, USWO at the infamous stadium and man,
quite a ride.
7 years, man.
7 straight years.
We only missed like 5 shows in the 7-year run because, the weather and whatnot, and it was a weekly promotion. The last few years of that 7-year run, we was doing every Friday and Saturday.
I remember.
2 nights back to back at the same venue. It's tough.
Yeah.
Friday was the A show, more professionalism, a good house, and Saturdays was the B show. A lot of
you were running the Saturday show, right? Near the end with your students and
actually booking. I mean, some guys, what they, I can't take this kid seriously. He's a fucking 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, 20, 21, I mean, we was there for so many years, but then others, they're like, well, we know everything, he does, it's not just him, he's running it by Kroll or running it by his father, Tony Falk. They have to okay it. Sometimes it was them just booking the shit.
And you had a different...
I'm relaying the messages. But then again, growing up in this business, I'm not the most educated fella out there. There's not too many, man, it's never too late to turn a negative into a positive. I'm 29 years of age now, and I'm going to go back to school. There's a lot of things I need to work on, just to open the door.
Right.
But wrestling is what I know. Other things, didn't excite me. I could care less.
Sure.
So, I was my own worst enemy. Never once did I have the body. So many guys, they cut promos on me all the time. LT, who you are. I mean, I don't want to be judged, because who I am.
Right, sure,
it doesn't fucking hurt to kind of, use that, Tony Falk name to get my foot in the door. And then, I want my attitude, my personality, my work.
Talent,
my talent to get me over, But, looking like an athlete is one thing. Everybody's always said I had a decent frame, a decent base. Only if I work out and eat healthy, man, I'll get some good results, But, and there's times, I'll kind of get dedicated to the gym and, stock up on the grilled chicken and the tuna. And next thing you know, the traps and the triceps are sticking out and looking good. And then I'll fuck up. And
that's all of us.
One of my favorite Chinese buffets,
that's every one of us. You're not alone in that.
And then outside the business, I remember a podcast Mark Couch and Mark Anthony did one time with your buddy Jason James. He brought up my name, and he's like, I think LT has so much talent, the gift of gab, LT's, he knows a lot about this business and who he is. I mean, it wasn't really forced upon me. I mean, I was expected to follow in my dad's footsteps, but, my dad said I could do whatever I want,
Right.
But being that I chose to follow in his footsteps, why not? Why not go to the big league? Why not make it a goal and try to achieve it? But dude, I was my own worst enemy, and then outside the wrestling business, I've done some stupid shit that just kind of made it a little hard and complicated for me to get to where I need to go. And then Mark Anthony was saying, LT, when it comes to, in the ring, he knows. Outside the ring, some of his ideas.
Well, you're young, what I mean? Because you're still young.
Demons. And as long as you show remorse at the end of the day and know you done wrong and you ask for forgiveness and then you learn from your mistakes. Right. And I mean, I think that it's good to point out, LT, think about a lot of the other second generations guys, especially in this area. I mean, I mean, there's a lot of great guys, people that I like personally that have had a tough time being the son of a well-known wrestler. And you're young. I mean, you're still young today, so you were even younger then, and you're this young cat that's
in this world where people are idolizing you, people much older than you are looking up to you, and then backstage, you're also not just, and not just in the middle of the ring are people looking up to you and assuming that you are bigger, better than you are, but backstage, you're the son of the promoter, of the guy that's running the show, the guy that's paying the bills, the guy that's giving the POs, you're that kid now, so there's always gonna, it's tough, but it's
negative
like
and positive.
You don't do the gimmicks. You don't have a coke habit. You're not. There's no needles marks on your arms.
Right,
and so we all make mistakes in life, and for you to say something like it's never too late to turn a negative into a positive. I mean, that's such a great outlook and such a great thing to say, especially in this business where there's a whole lot of fucking negatives. I mean, there's just so many. But like me personally, I feel the same way, man. I look at you as a star. I always have. I see something personally that I see something totally different than I think that you see, because I'm always, I want you to cut your fucking hair and I want you to be the biggest heel there ever was. And I mean, that's just, I see it. I really do. And so anything I'm ever involved with, whether it's a booking or promoting or just talent or, fucking just doing gimmicks, I'm always pushing your name out there, and I feel like everybody has a show that has a spot for you, because
I do appreciate it, man.
I mean, it's not even like that, I mean, I don't even look at it in that way. I just think that's kind of what you do. It goes back to Steve, feeding Steve Dahl, feeding me and training me for free, and it's just what you do. That's what this business is about.
Not just the boys taking care of the boys.
Yeah.
I mean, just being real with someone. Hey, man, I think give this guy a chance.
Yeah.
This is something I see in him.
Yeah.
and some guys get it, some guys don't. Man, this business is not for everyone. There's a lot of those $1 million bodies, 10-cent brains, guys with 2 left feet. Some guys they have the look, they just can't work. But then there's
there's guys that can work, man, but they can't. Yeah. They can't deal with it. Like our friend that lives down the street right here that we were just talking about before we started filming this or taping this on Wednesday night. I love that guy to death. I mean, he's a lot of fun, but man, he can't be around the business. Because being around the business causes everything bad to come out of him, it's like,
and when I talked about him, like I said, man, Billy Joe Travis, man, and as a young kid, I got to witness some stuff I should have never seen,
right,
but I heard the stories, man, and when it comes to the gimmicks,
right,
man, I guess I'm not knocking it here and there, guys want to do it, but when you fucking abuse it, man, that's when you're fucking up your health.
Yeah,
you're losing your family. You're losing your money. You can lose
your money.
Life,
to me, it's all about the money. I mean,
so I woke up to that at a young age. I'm thinking, man, these fucking drugs, man, whether it's pills,
that's good. That's
even alcohol, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Some of these guys drinking, and how it could damage them in many ways. So I'm glad, and plus, my father and my mother, they didn't do that stuff, so it wasn't in my environment. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I try to experiment and do a few things here and there, temptation, peer pressure, the wrestling business, but thank God I never got addicted to anything,
right.
But then, it's also, negative choices, with the girls, I was young, dumb, and full of cum, like you said. I was traveling here and there, and doing some TV shows and
good looking guy, long hair,
and some of these, I took advantage of it, but young and single, play the fields, have fun. But then there was times where, I get committed in a relationship and then I fuck up and then, baby making, but I do love my children out there.
Yeah.
But, it's
hey man, I got a whole bunch of kids too.
Then it even comes to, like, man, I was so loyal. So many guys, they're like, one problem is LT should have branched out. He should have traveled a little more. But then if I'm at Stadium Inn, being loyal to my dad, working for my family promotion, and also making a little bit of money selling gimmicks. First of all, you got to speculate to accumulate. You gotta spend money to make money. T-shirts, DVDs, pictures. I've always been pretty good in that department.
You got to do it. Yeah.
So I'm making a pretty good, chunk of change, going 10 minutes down the road, one, helping out my family promotion, having fun with the ladies, you know,
Uh-huh.
and then making some good, you know, nice little payoff, you
Yeah.
know, and then gimmick sales. But then I know other guys that are going like, you know, on these fucking trips, you know, I mean,
Making
just,
$20
yeah,
at the
very
end of the
little
day.
money,
Yeah.
but then again, you know, good promotions, good guys that could work with and learn from, DVD distribution. I mean, there was a lot of guys that, you know, plenty of times I turned down, you know, going to Illinois and Indiana for a certain promotion
Uh-huh.
for that DVD distribution, Smart Mark Video,
Uh-huh.
you know. Could have been on shows with some good names, you know,
Right.
some guys that became big stars and made millions, you know.
Right.
Only if I could have gotten, you know, that click with them. I mean, but then I've always said I'm not just a mark for a booking, you know. Some
Uh-huh.
guys, you know, they're financially fit. They could eat it, you know.
Right.
They could pay for them to go here and there.
Right.
And at times, you know, if you got to take a cut to get somewhere, something beneficial with production.
Sometimes it's worth it.
connection,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
worth
sometimes
it. And
it's
I've
worth
done
it.
that.
Yeah.
But there was, you know, plenty of other opportunities. I feel like, man, I could have went up north. I could have went here. I've turned down a few tours from England before I ever met my wife.
Right.
Before I ever met my wife. You know, my wife is a blue blood. She's a Brit. She can't believe I haven't done stuff over there. You know,
Uh-huh.
married to a damn English lady. And I've talked to a few, you know, promotions, you know, and, you know, never know what the future holds.
Uh-huh.
But I had opportunities before I ever met her to go over there, but I'm thinking, I don't have the body.
Uh-huh.
I want to wait till I get bigger and better.
Uh-huh.
You know, I want to, you know, maybe next time the money could be a little bit better. I can't believe I turned down some of this shit I've turned down.
Right.
But, you know, it's just, you know.
You live and learn.
Yeah,
you
that's
you
it.
live and
That's
learn,
it.
experience.
So now, you know, I'm 29 and I've been working for 15 fucking years.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe it. You know, not too many people know. I'm 29 and I've been in this business for 15 years,
Yeah.
you know. There's been times where I've been a weekend warrior, you know,
Uh-huh.
just Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sundays. But then there's been times, like I said, man, when I was looking at my book a while back and I'm thinking New Albany, Indiana for Mitch Ryder, and that was some good stuff, you know.
Uh-huh.
Some of the talent he had, you know, the B.J. Whitmer, Irish Airborne, Cesaro, you know, Mike Quackenbush, you know.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, hell, one of my best matches, it was a legend show he did. It was a young L.T. Falk teaming up with one half of the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, taking on one half of the Midnight Express, beautiful Bobby Eaton, and Wild Eye Southern Boy Tracy Smothers.
Woo, man.
I'm in there. I'm a young punk kid in there with all them legends. And Bobby and Tracy are taking care of me. They're shining me up, and babies go over. I get the win. You know,
Uh-huh.
little stuff like that. I mean, I'm like, I cannot believe I'm in the
Yeah,
ring with these guys. You know. And then,
You've gotten to team with your dad, you know, multiple times. I mean,
anytime, especially at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds. I don't care.
you just won tag team gold
That's it, man.
with your dad
That's
this
it.
year
Yeah.
or last
That's
2017.
it, yeah. Freedom Pro Tag Team Champions. That's a good promotion. Man, a mix of talent.
Uh-huh.
And being that it's in our backyard at a building so rich in history,
Uh-huh.
wrestling history, it meant a lot to me teaming up with my father. You know, I used to go to the sports arena to watch my dad do his thing, and then, you know, years later, I'm working there. He's coming to watch me, but being, you know, that we have the chance to team up
Yeah,
and perform
yeah.
in that building, especially with tag team titles on the line. I loved it, and we were successful, man. All the support from those great fans, the promotion saw a little something
Uh-huh.
in us, and
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So what's the deal, man? Are they talking about tearing it down? I do believe something about this professional soccer.
as
275
as far as
million?
what I know, the soccer field that won't be touched. The sports arena won't be touched.
Oh my God!
The soccer field is going to be over to the left-hand side of it.
Man.
And the speedway won't be touched. The sports auditorium won't be touched. And most of the buildings won't be touched. It's just going to be an addition.
Okay.
They're going to build a park
Hey,
and a soccer
ain't
stadium.
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. That's
So,
great.
that-
But
people-
I know a lot of people was talking about the sports
and
arena
don't
was
get me-
being tore down.
You know, hey,
that
don't
place
get me
is-
wrong. The sports arena is rich in history, and I don't want to see it go.
Yeah.
It's a building that was built specifically for weekly wrestling.
Oh, yes.
That the whole reason those bricks are there is for weekly wrestling. So I don't want to see the building go, but I think, you know, I see a lot of people freak out about it anytime anyone ever talks about the fairgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
Progression is natural. It is just part of our world, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
And
Yeah, yes.
and I personally, if they tore the whole thing down, I would be sad. I'd be
Yeah.
really sad. But if they built something something bigger and better that helped our community and helped our city grow and bring more people with more money. And now we have a new building that we can run wrestling in, and there's more people to come and buy tickets. That's a good thing.
Why not?
You know, we all just need to calm down a little bit, though.
And the way the city's growing by leaps and bounds. You know?
And you know, when we did the first Crossfire show, it wasn't a Crossfire show. It was a tribute to the Fairgrounds show because they were going to tear the Fairgrounds down. Then we did a second show because they were going to tear it down. Then we did a third show. And then finally we just changed the name because they weren't going to tear it down anymore, you know? So, you know, think about that. That was 7 years ago. Okay.
2011, 2012.
Yeah. So that was 7 years ago, and it's still there. It's still there, you know. So I don't want it to be torn down. Don't get me wrong. But if it is, we don't know if it might be better than what we have now. Do you know? I mean,
there's a lot of truth.
Progression is a natural and wonderful thing. Being afraid of advancing and being afraid of change is going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you stuck, you know. And if you're open to the change, then you can jump out right into it, and you can reap the rewards from whatever changes. You know, you can't get rewarded if you're too afraid to try.
That's it. Hey.
So, but you know, this has been great, man. I have this idea, and I want you to run it by your dad, okay? Because I know he doesn't want to sell any of his stuff, and I know your dad has turned down offers to do interviews with High Spots and all this stuff, and hopefully your dad likes me enough that he'll at least think about this. But I would love to do a interview with him, a video interview, where we look through some of his vintage wrestling memorabilia from the shows that he's been on, the stuff he's collected over the years from going to Mid-South and going to World Class and all the different places he's gone. And I just want him to just give his memories of these,
that would be nice.
Different things.
I would love to see it, and I know many out there would love to see it.
You know, I just think that's such an interesting thing, you know, for us collectors of items to watch Tony Falk. You know, for one, just watching him talk is fantastic. But to watch him talk about these wrestling items that are, you know, 20, 30, 40 years old and that he's kept because he's kept them because they have meaning to him.
Even older than that. Stuff that he collected when he was a kid.
I mean,
when he got in the business.
Man, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I mean, that would be that's a great idea.
That would be nice.
One day,
man,
one day maybe your dad will be ready.
Maybe he'll give in. I mean, so many people, you know, shoot interviews, podcasts, even talked about the autobiography, you know, the book. Man, he needs to do it.
He's got so much to tell.
We got to work with a lot of different territories, helped a lot of guys out. So some of the, you know, the big names in this business, they know Tony Falk. They worked with him. Hell, he's helped train. You know, he was you know, a part of their training or working with them. And Mike Bucci, you know, Simon Dean. We talked a while back, and he was like, it's like, yeah, man, my dad's always saying, I'm just a jabroni. You know, like, he's like, what? He was like, man, don't you ever let your dad talk like that. Tony Falk is more than one of the boys. You know, everybody has a story to tell. He has one hell of a story. So hopefully here soon we could get it out there.
Right.
You know, I mean, and I'm telling you, it'll be a good learning experience for a lot of guys. I think
so, man. Yeah, I really think he's got. So we've hit an hour. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Before we go, to keep everything topical. You know, like I had said, this is episode 2. The big
we'll do
2.
Another one. Trust me. We left a lot of stuff out. I mean, when it comes to training and all.
There's just so many more things. Just in the time that I've known you, we haven't touched on any of that.
29-year-old guy, 15 years of wrestling. You know. Started at a young age, trained with many different guys.
Yeah. You know, USWO, I mean, just, especially during the Stadium Inn days, I mean, you know, from Raven to Cash to Big Daddy V to just the number of people that, you know, pass through and work spots. A lot of TV, weekly TV for
top names.
9 years? 9 years straight?
Maybe a little longer than that. 7 years at the Stadium Inn. Right. But, you know, we had TV in Springfield. Kind of off and on, too, but we try to keep it going.
But yeah, I mean, think about. I know firsthand producing TV just how difficult it is, or producing video event. You know, I haven't even produced TV, but an event to do weekly TV and produce it. I mean, that's you know, that's a struggle all within its own. But like I said, you know, this is episode 2, and when me and Johnny sat down 2 weeks ago, we had told the listeners and the fans and everything that we were going to review the 1995 Onita retirement show, the 5/5/95 Hayabusa versus Onita electrified time bomb, barbed wire, steel cage match that is absolutely great. You don't even have to be a fan of hardcore wrestling. This was just a really fantastic match. Yeah. And in 1995, if you were a tape trader, this was a must-have tape. You had to have it. It had to be on your list. If it wasn't on your list, you weren't even going to fuck with that guy because that guy doesn't know what he's doing because he doesn't even have one of these. I mean, there was just these tapes that everybody always had, and this was one of them. But Johnny is in Orlando, like I said, and doing his thing and making his money. So I asked you to come down here and do this thing with us. And so for everyone that is listening that wanted to hear that show, it'll be Sunday the 18th is when we'll sit down, me and Bandana, and do that show. But to keep everything topical, one thing I don't want to do is I'm not real big into talking about current day wrestling because I don't really watch it a lot. Yeah. I watch Monday Night Raw every week. I watch SmackDown every week, but I watch it in fast forward. Okay. I don't sit down and I get more of my wrestling, my current day wrestling, from reading posts on Facebook than I do actually watching. But I enjoy watching PWG. That's how it was for the longest. Yeah, I enjoy watching PWG. I enjoy. There's a handful of promotions that I really enjoy. But for the most part, I don't sit down and watch wrestling a lot. Wrestle Kingdom 12 was a matter of days ago. On the 4th. Today is the 11th. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So about 7 days ago, about a week ago, Wrestle Kingdom. You watched it. I just want real quick. I want to touch on what did you think of Omega, Jericho, and what did you think of Naito Okada? The show was a 75-hour long show, so there's a whole lot to talk about. I don't want to dive into it. Everybody that's listening to this, I guarantee you, listens to 100 other podcasts every week, and everyone's already talked about it. But from your point of view, those two main events, what did you think of them?
I'm going to start watching a lot of New Japan. I've seen some of their stuff before, but I've never been really, obsessed with it. But after watching the Wrestle Kingdom 12, seriously, I'm going to try to tune in a lot more. It was a dream match. That's what it was, right? Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega.
Promoted it just fucking perfectly.
Totally, man.
Promoted two main events.
It broke the internet, man.
To two different crowds. I'm reading all over how pissed off people are that you can't have a co-main event. There only is one main event. It's the last. Blah 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 blah. I guarantee you, 80% of people that are American that never watched New Japan before this last show, they watched it to watch Jericho, and to them that was the main event. And then to all the people that were in the crowd, to all the Japanese people, Naito Okada was the main event. I don't think there's no reason to bitch about this. It was a business decision. Those words co-main event are nothing but fucking words that are for marketing purposes.
That's how it should be, because it's
you're marketing to people that have never seen this before. Market to them what they know, and then make them fans from watching this show, and it's so incredible. So, what did you think that Omega Jericho lived up to the hype?
It was good. I really did enjoy it. Maybe there's a few more things they could have done. But yeah, man, I enjoyed it. There was something I want to find out what the hell was going on. Was it a no disqualification? Was it like a street fight?
It was.
And then I remember the deal with the Red Shoes, the referee.
And if you notice, if you watch Jericho, he says something to Red Shoes and is like, "Hey, this is a fucking no DQ match."
And then they're on the floor for a fucking minute, and
they start getting a count.
He starts getting. I just didn't understand that, but everything else, it was a few comedy things, right? With the fucking cold spray, and then the flipping off the camera, taking something, and a little bit of comedy, some brawling, some holds, some chain, high spots, a little bit of everything in that one match. And Jericho could go, man. They say he's one of the best. So yes, man. I did enjoy it. Kenny Omega, body work. I know a lot of people out there, they're not too crazy about him. I don't know if it's everyone he's done in the past.
Well, you have that new school mentality of the Young Bucks and Omega, and then you have that old school mentality of Cornette and I kind of look. I'm kind of in the middle. I think that Omega, I think the Young Bucks are incredibly talented. And I'll be real honest. If I'm bored and I'm sitting on the couch and I've got nothing to do, I'll type in the Young Bucks into YouTube and I'll watch one of their matches because I enjoy watching that kind of stuff when there's no context to it. When it's just watching the moves, just the highlights. It's a lot of fun. I don't personally, this is just me personally, and I know I'm going to get so much hate over this. I do not find credibility or psychology in the way those guys work. To me, this idea of laughing at the old guard, the way that the old class used to show respect for wrestling, and to the idea of laughing at that and that being the gimmick, it does annoy me. Because I still have that respect for the business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was taught that way. I understand things are different and things are new and there's progression, but I don't even understand why there's such a need to constantly make fun of anyone who doesn't think the way they do about wrestling. They're extremely talented. They're making a buttload of money. Mm-hmm. All the power to them. I hope nothing but total success for them. Because at the same time, like, I'm not I didn't grow up in the 70s. I didn't even watch wrestling that much in the 80s. Yeah. So I don't have that same kind of Jim Cornette mentality either. So I'm kind of in the middle where I want a show to have a little bit of everything. From hardcore to high spots to psychology to strong style, everything in a show, You
gotta keep it fresh, man. A mix of talent, especially, guys, you can't have everybody looking the same. Different gimmicks, people unique.
People look different, fat guys, skinny guys, muscle guys.
The style. Some guys, they like the hands-on, technical, and other guys, they're into the bar.
The Young Bucks are great. They are. They're a lot of fun.
If student of the business, you can fucking learn as much as you can and go with everybody. Right. It's good to have different matches with different places, different places you go, different expectations.
Right.
But yeah, man, the wrestling now, especially with some of these promotions, it has evolved a lot, and I feel like some of the shit they do, I don't think I could do it, that's why I don't try to fucking go work for places, but the injury list, man, I think the injury list is a mile too long.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Some of the fucking, crazy, Germans and all these neck bumps and brain busters on the fucking apron, and going off the top through this back to this.
I understand that some shows you're making a couple more bucks than you are other shows, but a lot of these I watch on Facebook all these fucking short clips of people doing stupid shit. And you look in the crowd, and there's 12 people in the crowd. Oh, yeah. And why are you doing this? You can still work a match and it be just as exciting without hurting your fucking body, Before we go, LT, let everyone know where they can find you on social media. LT Falk.
Just LT Falk.
Facebook at the moment. Also have a YouTube page, too.
YouTube,
Yeah, so they can see your matches.
It's a new year, it's a new game. I was going to say how, the wrestling business has changed, and times do change. Fuck, man, why am I not doing Instagram and Twitter? That's where it's at now, right? I need to adapt.
I just open every account.
Not just for marketing and exposure, as a professional wrestler. I mean, it would be a plus. It does help, but just everyday life, man. I'm gonna get with it. I'm gonna stop talking about it and be about it.
Well, cool.
Just LT Falk, FALK on Facebook.
Everybody go and follow him.
And YouTube.
Everyone go follow him. Everyone check out his matches on YouTube. Get to know LT, and we'll have LT back here again. Talk about even more stuff that's going on. Maybe one time you can come over with me and Johnny, and we can review an old match together. That's kind of the thing that we're going to do on the podcast.
Sounds fun.
If you're listening to this anywhere other than Podbeam, whether it's Stitcher, iTunes, Google Music, all the different places, all that I spend 5 hours uploading these things to. Podbeam is the official home of the podcast. So all the extra podcasts that I put up there, everything else will be there. Check it out. Just check out the Tape Trader's Guide to 90 Pro Wrestling on Podbeam. Then also go to the Facebook page, which is same thing. You can search for it, Facebook /90s Indie Wrestling or 90s Indie Podcast. Check out WrestleTopia. Just type in WrestleTopia into any search bar, and you'll find all my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, my everything. The number one place to buy all your vintage memorabilia is WrestleTopia. So get with me if you are a collector, and I will hook you up. Make sure you check us back out again next Sunday, the 18th. For FMW 5595, the 6th anniversary Onita retirement, Onita versus Hayabusa, and we'll also talk 1990 WCW. Johnny Bandana will be back in the house. So to all my friends, family, and loved ones, I appreciate all the time that you spent the last hour and 15 minutes listening to this. And please send me as much feedback, even if you hate my guts and think I sound terrible. I want to hear about it. All right, until next time, next week, thanks so much.